My name is Heo Gyun. They call me the greatest writer of Joseon's 500 years, a revolutionary. People often ask me who I admired most. I never answered, for no matter who I named, they would not have known her. I mastered classical Chinese by the age of 5. I composed poetry at 9. To the world, I must have seemed a prodigy. But I was not. I have known a true genius, my sister Cho Hui, who left this world at just 27. To me, she was a sky I could never reach. Also, my guardian, Cho hui. The last time I saw her, she told me to burn every poem she had ever written. And then, she was gone. The beautiful poems she left behind. Would you care to hear one? Beyond the blue sea, into the jeweled sea I drift. A blue phoenix rests beside a blazing phoenix. 27 lotus blossoms, blooming crimson, fall gently in the cold moonlight beneath the frost. Do you know why I love this poem above all her beautiful works? Because it feels as though my sister foretold her own death. She wrote of 27 lotus blossoms falling, and at 27, she was gone. I burned her poems as she wished. But the verses I had already read were etched forever into my heart. In an age when women were forbidden to learn, my sister taught herself by listening from the shadows. She never missed a single chance to learn, even if it meant stealing glances from behind a door. No teacher, no permission. She practiced it entirely on her own. At the age of 8, she was already writing poems that left scholars speechless. But even the brightest candle cannot shine if the darkness around it is too vast. At 15, she was married to a man chosen by her parents, and that man soon discovered his wife surpassed him in every way, a pearl cast before swine. Though perhaps one must pity him too. In old Korea, scholarship was everything, the very measure of a person's worth. How unbearable it must have been for him to be outshone by his own wife. Her mother-in-law, knowing her son's despair, turned her cruelty upon Cho hui, and Cho hui had no choice but to endure, and then she lost both her children. From that moment, something in her quietly began to break. My sister, her life, her sorrow, she poured it all into her poems, even as her body failed her. As she lay dying, she looked at me through my tears and asked, "Dear brother, do you weep for my death?" "No, sister," I answered. "I weep because the world may forget you before it ever knows you." She reached up and touched my cheek. "Ah, you fear the world will not recognize you either. You grow anxious because lesser minds pass their exams before you do. Do not be troubled, my dear little brother. The world has always been blind to those who truly shine. But if you yourself never dim your light, the world will find its way to your brightness in time." Even in her final moments, she was thinking of me. In time, I passed the Royal Civil Service examination. My writings became known across the land. But I could not forget that in this blind world, there had existed a truly beautiful light. And so I wrote down her poems, every verse etched into my heart and bones, and bound them into a book. I carried her words all the way to China and Japan, and published them in her name. The poems that could find no light in Joseon became celebrated in distant lands. And through that fame, her name finally found its brightness in her own homeland. More than 100 years after her death, the world was blind, but her light never dimmed, and the world finally found its way to her.